Happy moment to everyone. This is Salomina presenting the class on ethical consideration in research. First, let us discuss about what is research in the next slide. We can understand this word research, we can split it to research, which means searching again to know about in brief manner. Here I have given the meaning and also the definition for this word research. Research is a kind of process which makes the individual to gain knowledge about something. It can be any kind of subject knowledge, it can be any kind of information which we get from others or from book or whatever it is. Research in the sense getting any knowledge by searching factor. While coming back to the definition, research is the systematic inquiry towards understanding a social phenomenon. When we are talking about research, it is not simply searching for something. We will be searching systematically to find what is happening around us, or in a particular phenomena, we will be searching systematically. So simply it is a systematic inquiry towards understanding or to know the particular factor of a social phenomena or social problem. Let us discuss about the ethical issues or ethical consideration which we have to maintain during and after the research. Yes. So this is the ethical consideration. In this slide, we will be studying about different ethical issues which is going to cover under the research criteria. Well, while talking about research ethics, the individual should undergo all the kind of works while doing for the research. We have to get for the reviews, we have to get for the questionnaire and data collection and all those things. So the ethic is applicable to all the procedures while collecting reviews, while going for the data collection and doing the preparing the questionnaire. In all the circumstance, this ethics is mandatory to follow certain principles and rules regarding the practices which is going to be undertaken by the research scholar or the researcher. Always while doing research, a person should understand the principles and they should undergo with the code of conduct, or which means the particular kind of discipline which help us to do a research in a better and in a neat disciplined manner. So let us discuss about the different kind of ethics which we should follow in the research. The first thing, the consideration of work to the different three parts. While we are going for the ethic and the principles, we should focus on these three factors. The first thing is protect the rights of research participants. Research participants in the sense the person who is giving information to the researcher, who is participating in a research. Okay. For example, if I am a researcher doing a research on unemployment issue in certain places. If I am addressing some unemployed people in certain places, the particular people is so called the participants. So we should have certain rights for the participants. Okay, let me explain that point in brief in the next coming slide. The second consideration, enhance research validity. While doing research, validity and also the reliability is a very important factor. To bring that factor in a very legible manner, we should follow some kind of principles and the ethics in our research. And the last thing is Maintain scientific or academic integrity. While doing the research, it should be brought up with a particular systematic manner, which means we should do with the all the scientific or with the academic side. It should be followed with the proper criteria in all the circumstances, in all the criterias. While talking about these principles or ethics, it talks about the scientific integrity, the human rights and dignity, and the collaboration between science and society. So these principles should taken to the participants, and these participants should be knowledgeable about all these factors. If they are unaware of this, we should make them to aware of these factors, and with the proper volunteer only we can take these kind of questionnaires. Without participants' interest, we cannot take any kind of information from the individual. So we have to inform them about the purpose of the research, and we also tell them about the need for doing this particular research. While discussing the ethics, it is very important to note this point: institutional review board, which means while going for this kind of research, the particular questionnaire or the particular research proposal should be submitted to this institutional review board. The review board will go through all this information which you have submitted to the proposal, and they will give permission whether the questionnaire can be collected, or if there is changes needed in the proposal, they let us know about all these things, and after the approval of IRB only we can go for the further proceeding of the research. Yes, let us discuss about the different types of ethical considerations in one by one. So first ethical issue is voluntary participation. So as I told you in the first factor itself, voluntary participation of the research is very important. As a researcher, if I need a particular 100 or 50 sample to be collected, we have to choose a person, and that particular person should be willing to give all the details regarding the research. If they are not willing, we should not force any individual to give their informations. Okay, so that is the voluntary participation of the research. If you are collecting your data for your research purpose, the data should be given by the participants with full involvement. We should not force them, or we should not make any kind of issue regarding collecting the information from the participant. They should voluntarily give their data for our research. Next ethical issue is informed consent, which means the participant should know the purpose of doing or giving data to the researcher. We cannot just like that make a data collection, or we cannot just like that get the information from the participants. So it's researchers' responsibility to make aware of the person who is taking part in the research. We should convey them the purpose, benefits or need, or what are the factors which is required for the research. The particular research ethics talks about information should be passed to the participants, those who are taking the part in the research, which means the participant should know full details of the research, why they are collecting the data, what is the need to collect the data, from the data what they do. All these things should be conveyed to the participants, then only we can collect the information. Just like that blindly we could not, or we should not collect any kind of information from the participants. From the participants' agreement, if they agree to give the information only, we can collect, or else we can quit and we can go for the other person who is willing to give their data. The third thing is anonymity, which means the person who is giving the data, it should be, we should not collect any kind of data which is their personal. If we collect so, that should not be revealed to the other person. For example, their caste or their physical issues or any kind of personal data if they share with the researcher, that should not be revealed to any kind of the person. The same confidentiality is also slightly same. We should not reveal any kind of information about the participant to the other agencies. If we are doing the research, it should be focused on their research purpose only. We should not make any kind of confidentiality issues regarding the research, which means their data should be saved or it should be maintained in a confidentiality manner. Otherwise, our research and the participants will get effect out of these issues. Let us discuss other types of the aesthetic issue also. The other thing is potential for harm. If we are doing a research as a researcher, we should not harm the person who is participating in the research. The harm include psychological harm, social harm, physical harm or legal harm. If you are collecting the data from the participants at any point of time, a researcher should not make any kind of harm to the individual who is taking part in the research. Psychological harm, in the sense we should not ask any kind of sensitive questions which they may affect or they may feel guilty about themselves. These kind of psychological harm should not give to the other individual while collecting for the data. So for that purpose only, this IRB scrutinize the question which will affect or harm the other individual. The social harms can be focused on the participation of a kind of public embarrassment and kind of stigma. If we are collecting any kind of issues from the sensitive part of side, we will be undergoing this kind of issue. Okay, they will be criticized and they will be seeing other kind of issues while giving the data. And physical harm in the sense that we should not create any kind of physical atrocities towards the participants. Okay, the researcher has no right to harm any participants at any point of time. If they are not willing, it is their right to oppose. So we have to accept and we have to move on to the other data. The legal arm is focusing on the legal issues. If they share a particular kind of information, it can affect their legal kind of issues. So it should be avoided. And the other thing is result communication. While talking about this result communication, the word plagiarism means a lot. Obviously, all the researchers, they will be aware of this plagiarism. This word is very important to know in the ethical manner, which means plagiarism is a kind of theft which we do in our research, which means if I do a research in a particular factor, I should not theft any kind of information from other. individuals, those who have done already the same research or whatever. So plagiarism in the sense copying the knowledge of other person into our text. Okay, just copying something from other individual. If we may not mention properly their name, their publication, then it is considered as a plagiarism. Okay, there is also self plagiarism is also there, which means we are having our own reference which we have done in the previous, we will be using the same for our next result also. So it will be a kind of self plagiarism, which means the same person who is doing the research for the next time, they will be using the data which already collected for the some other purpose. It should also be avoided in a ethical point of view. And the last thing is research misconduct, which means it's making any kind of falsification of data or manipulation of data. So after collecting a data, in order to get a favorable results, we will be changing some kind of data into this answer to that answer. So it is considered as a misconduct of a research, which means we are misrepresenting the result and we are not doing genuine to the research. So research misconduct is always all time talking about the falsification of data or manipulation of data in order to get a favorable research. So these are the very important point to note while doing for the research. Thank you. I'll meet in the next class.